reported a Russian double agent blew the whistle on those sleeper spies, including Anna Chapman.
Former leader of Tijuana's notorious Arellano Felix drug cartel is making a plea for early release from prison.
Just as many women have risen as leaders in the world of legitimate businesses, there are women who have held important positions in organized crime. These individuals indicate that the temptation of power and riches is not limited to men alone. Stay with us, as we will look at the 10 women who have risen to positions of power via their intellect, ambition, and ruthlessness. Number 10. Griselda Blanco Restrepo. Griselda Blanco Restrepo, often known as the Black Widow, was a Colombian narcotics lord who was involved in the Medellin cartel and Miami-based illegal substance trafficking from the 1970s until the early 2000s. Blanco and her mother relocated to Medellin after Bianco's birth in Cartagena, Colombia. So Medellin was where she began her criminal career, displaying early glimpses of her ruthlessness. Blanco's criminal proclivities became apparent at a young age. She allegedly abducted and attempted to collect ransom for a youngster from a wealthy neighborhood near her own when she was only 11 years old. Blanco had mastered pickpocketing long before she became a teenager. Her role in the narcotics trade expanded from Colombia to major U.S. cities, including Miami, New York, and California. Blanco illegally entered the United States in the mid-1970s, using phony passports, and resided in Queens, New York. There, she built a huge narcotics enterprise. Her illicit actions, however, caught up with her when she was charged with federal drug conspiracy in April 1975. She fled back to Colombia to avoid jail and eventually returned to the United States, settling in Miami in the late 1980s. Blanco's homecoming coincided with the growth of violent confrontations in Miami, where hundreds of people died as a result of the city's high crime rate. The surge of illegal substances into the city led to the formation of CENTAC 26, also known as the Central Tactical Unit, a combined narcotics trafficking operation by the Miami-Dade Police Department and the Drug Enforcement Administration. Blanco got actively involved in the drug-related violence that ravaged Miami in the late 1970s and early 1980s, dubbed the Miami Drug War. This time period saw an increase in narcotics trafficking that outpaced the popularity of distribution. Blanco's distribution network reached the United States, producing an incredible $80 million every month. Blanco's criminal empire, however, was struck a major blow on February 17, 1985, when she was captured at her Miami residence by the DEA. She was accused of attempting to produce, import, and distribute narcotics. She was found guilty in federal court in New York City and sentenced to 15 years in prison. Blanco faced new accusations in Florida while imprisoned. She pleaded guilty to those charges in 1998 and was sentenced to 20 years in jail. In 2004, she was deported to Medellin, Colombia. Her independence, however, was short-lived, as she passed away abruptly on September 2012. Blanco's last known sighting was in May 2007 at Bogota Airport. The life story of Griselda Blanco has captivated filmmakers, singers, and artists alike. She has inspired significant roles in a number of documentaries. Number 9. Sebastiana Cotton Vasquez. Sebastiana Cotton Vasquez's incredible journey from modest origins as a peasant child in Malacotan, Guatemala, to becoming a powerful and vicious criminal leader in the country's narcotics trade is a riveting story. Vasquez, also known as Latana Donatana or La Doña, climbed to the top of her criminal organization and gained a reputation for her ferocity and cruelty. Vasquez had substantial narcotics trafficking links, including ties to the Digna Valley cartel in Honduras, and the network of Salvadoran narcotics boss Jorge Ulloa Cebrián, better known as Rapolio, who was apprehended in Guatemala in 2013. She also acted as a go-between for the Sinaloa cartel, commanded by El Chapo Guzman, using her ties in Colombia. Vasquez coordinated the movement of narcotics and money from Colombia to Guatemala, which was subsequently moved to Mexico and the United States through her direct connections. In February 2012, the Nicaraguan legal system began a trial against 16 people suspected of being members of the Los Charros cartel. During the trial, it was discovered that Vasquez, also known as Tana or La Doña, was in charge of all operations. An inquiry was made, which revealed that she had transported 40,000 kilograms of narcotics from Venezuela and Colombia to North America. Not only this, but Vasquez also participated in money laundering, and to hide it from the authorities, she camouflaged her illegal riches through real estate transactions and vehicles registered in the names of churches. She also opened 4 hardware stores to help legitimize her business. Vasquez also worked with a network of women across Latin America, including the infamous Mallory Chacon Rosell in Guatemala City and Yaneth Vergara Hernandez in Colombia. They created a formidable and resourceful gang that engaged in a variety of illegal operations. Vasquez's reign, however, came to an end when she was captured by the security forces in 2014. Despite her imprisonment, sources in Guatemala say Vasquez was freed in 2019 and reportedly returned to her hometown of Malacotan. Sebastiana Cotton Vasquez's experience shows the intricacy and reach of her actions related to narcotics trafficking. Her ascension to prominence, broad connections, and participation in large-scale trafficking operations show the difficulties police face in tackling organized crime in the region. Number 8. Leticia Rodriguez Lara. Rodriguez Lara, often known as Doña Leti, La Forti, or the Queen of Riviera Maya, rose to prominence during a reign of crime in Quintana Roo, Mexico, a famous tourist destination. Her reputation as the leading narcotics trafficker in southern Mexico gave her unrivaled power and authority in the region. Quintana Roo, with its well-known towns such as Cancun, Cozumel, and Playa del Carmen, was her principal operations region. Rodriguez Lara had already established herself as one of the most influential women in Mexican narcotics trafficking history prior to her arrest. She opted to link herself with the Sinaloa Cartel, commanded by the infamous Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, despite being a former member of the now-defunct Federal Judicial Police. Her devotion to El Chapo arose from her wish to keep competing criminal organizations out of her realm. Rodriguez Lara was instrumental in ensuring secure routes for shipments from Colombia to Mexico, particularly for further distribution to the United States and other nations for Guzman Loera. Simultaneously, she formed relationships with local gangs in Quintana Roo, and finally split from El Chapo to start her own criminal organization, eventually rising to the head of the Gulf Cartel. Rodriguez Lara needed to remove competing cartels such as Los Zetas, known for their brutality and cannibalism, as well as Los Pelones, an armed offshoot of another cartel, to strengthen her hold on the region. Confrontations between her group got Lara dubbed the Queen of the Riviera Maya, and the organization, commanded by El Mencho, heightened the violence in Cancun. The violence escalated, with terrible mutilations and threats directed at Rodriguez Lara herself, but she seemed unfazed. Rodriguez Lara was detained in the state of Puebla on August 9, 2017, along with 3 accomplices, almost a month after her son was arrested. Following that, on April 10, 2018, she was formally charged in a criminal case for organizing and managing organized crime operations that disturbed public safety. The Attorney General's office made an unexpected find, unearthing around 1,500 security boxes holding money stashed under several names, giving insight into the breadth of her illegal operations. The arrest of Leticia Rodriguez Lara, the once feared Queen of Riviera Maya, dealt a severe blow to Quintana Roo's organized crime. Her arrest and ensuing judicial processes revealed the degree of her involvement in illegal activities, presenting a vivid picture of her dominance over the region's unlawful operations. Number 7. Anjali Valencia. Angie Clemente, a former Colombian beauty queen and lingerie model, led a fascinating double life. Behind her gorgeous facade, she oversaw one of the greatest drug syndicates, earning her the moniker Drug Queen pin. Valencia, who was born in Colombia, rose to fame after winning the Reinado Nacional del Café, a prominent national beauty contest. Her ultimate desire, though, lay beyond the runway. She became involved with the Monster, a Mexican narcotics lord, but their relationship eventually worsened, prompting Valencia to break away and start her own cartel. Valencia's charm and cunning helped her develop her empire. She made use of her modeling ties to recruit unsuspecting young models as dealers and peddlers. She referred to them as her unsuspicious, beautiful angels. These models were paid handsomely for transporting illegal substances from Argentina to England via Cancun, earning up to $5,000 per trip. Valencia's alleged conspiracy came to an end when a 21-year-old lady was apprehended at Buenos Aires' Ezeiza International Airport with luggage holding a whopping 55 kilograms of narcotics. Surprisingly, the pills were put in plain sight, implying that airport staff were involved. Authorities initiated an inquiry to look into possible links between the syndicate and airport personnel. Valencia was forced to flee as the net closed in. She escaped capture in Argentina by escaping a hotel where she was staying with her devoted Pomeranian. Interpol issued an international arrest notice for her, escalating the hunt for the attractive narcotics queen. Valencia's dazzling exterior finally broke on a fateful day in May 2010. She was captured at a Buenos Aires hostel while attempting to conceal herself by dyeing her hair blonde and registering under a fictitious identity. The authorities managed to apprehend the elusive beauty. Her time in prison was marred by violence, prompting officials to move her to a separate facility for her own protection. Despite the gravity of her offenses, she served barely half of her initial 6-year, 8-month sentence. Unexpectedly, a twist of fate granted her freedom from the confines of prison, and she was deported back to Colombia in September 2013, leaving a trail of mystery and unresolved questions behind her. The story of Angie Sanclemente Valencia, the beauty queen turned narcotics lord, serves as a warning that evil may lie under the surface, even in the realm of glamour and beauty. Number 6. Sandra Avila Beltran. Sandra Avila Beltran, often known as La Reina del Pacifico, has left an everlasting stamp on Mexico's drug cartel landscape. Her life is a narrative of familial ties, illicit affairs, daring escapes, and ascension to prominence in the male-dominated world of narcotics trafficking. Avila Beltran was born in Baja California, into a family with significant links to narcotics trafficking. Alfonso Villa Quintero, her father, was a cousin of Rafael Caro Quintero, a significant player in the Guadalajara cartel. She also has ties to the Beltran Leyva brothers, powerful leaders in the Sinaloa Cartel Federation. Her criminal career appeared predetermined because she was a third-generation trafficker in her family. The personal life of Villa Beltran was fraught with peril and sorrow. She had associations with a number of notable drug lords, which elevated her position in the underworld. Her 2 husbands, both former police officers turned smugglers, were mysteriously assassinated. Her friendship with Juan Diego Espinoza Ramrez, alias the Tiger, a major player in Colombia's Norte del Valle cartel, brought her greater fame, however. For years, Villa Beltran eluded authorities by carefully concealing her activities. However, when her teenage son was kidnapped, she unexpectedly sought aid from the police. While she was successful in rescuing her kid, her actions created suspicions and prompted an inquiry. Villa Beltran and Espinoza Ramrez were ultimately apprehended in Mexico City in 2007 after 4 years and the efforts of 30 federal officers. Avila Beltran was charged with money laundering for smuggling narcotics worth billions of dollars from Colombia to Mexico. Despite her high-profile lifestyle and connections, the evidence against her was sufficient, and she was found guilty. After various legal fights, in 2012, she was caught in the intricate web of international law enforcement. She found herself subjected to the process of extradition, ultimately leading her to the United States to confront the grave charges related to narcotics possession and trafficking. Even after her incarceration, Villa Beltran continues to capture headlines as a vital connection between the Sinaloa cartel and one of Mexico's most powerful criminal organizations. In an unexpected turn of events, she wrote a book titled The Queen of the Pacific, Time to Talk, which was based on a series of jail interviews with Mexican writer Julio Scherer. Her rise to power, marked by family ties, forbidden romances, and a daring escape from the authorities, highlights her greed for power and riches. Now it's time for today's subscriber pick. This image was sent to us from a loyal subscriber. We are unsure which female narcos this could be, but based on the appearance of this woman, she is likely involved in many of the same organized criminal activities as the women that we have introduced you to today. Do you know of any other female narcos that should have been included in our list today? Let us know in the comments below. Number 5. Jemiker Thompson. Jemiker Thompson Hairston, a fascinating person in American criminal history, rose to prominence as a narcotics dealer during the 1980s crack epidemic that ravaged the country. She developed a tremendous narcotics enterprise in the rough neighborhoods of South Central Los Angeles, organizing a network of distributors spanning many cities. Thompson's involvement with the trade began in her childhood. At the young age of 8, she witnessed the brutal reality of poverty when she and her mother were evicted from their flat, leaving their belongings strewn outside. This watershed incident fueled Thompson's drive to gain power and accumulate wealth. She excelled in track and field when she was just a high school student. She fell in love with Anthony Daff Mosley, a narcotics dealer. Thompson, eager to prove herself, began collecting money on his behalf. Thompson became involved with narcotics while still in high school. Surprisingly, she began selling 3 to 4 kilograms of the illegal substances each week. Thompson and Daff married in 1980 and started dealing together. Thompson and her husband acquired a beautiful mansion in Encino, California, while her company grew. Their lifestyles appeared to mirror the trappings of prosperity. Daff, on the other hand, was mercilessly slain. Agents from the DEA, also known as Drug Enforcement Administration, who had been watching Thompson's operations, expected her illegal organization to fall in the aftermath of her husband's death. Thompson surprised everyone by making a stunning recovery. Thompson extended her activities in 1984 by hiring distributors countrywide and developing direct links with Colombian manufacturers. Her relentless desire drove her to start an apparently genuine firm specializing in hair distribution and selling wigs and hair extensions. While Thompson said it was a legitimate business, police felt it was a ruse to launder her narcotics money. When Thompson's business partner, Percy "Cheese" Bratton, was captured with a large amount of narcotics in his hands, and the tide shifts against her. Bratton negotiated a bargain with investigators in order to provide the evidence required to indict Thompson. Thompson proceeded on a frantic escape in order to avoid arrest. However, at the age of 31, she was captured during her son's 6th grade graduation ceremony. Thompson was charged with many counts of money laundering and conspiracy to distribute narcotics. She was convicted after being indicted and began serving a 15-year jail sentence. Thompson's compelling narrative captivated the media and the general public. In fact, she was featured in an episode of the 2nd season of Netflix's Drug Lords. Thompson's astonishing climb and the millions she gained in the perilous trade were explored in the episode, which aired on July 10, 2018. She desired to be in charge of her own fate, which led her down a road that transformed her into an infamous drug lord. Number 4. Maria Licciardi. In the vibrant city of Naples, a magnificent lady evolved as a force to be reckoned with amidst the violent feuds of the organized criminal clans. Maria Licciardi, a Neapolitan lady in her late 40s, rose to prominence within the Secondigliano clan, cementing her position during a turbulent era in the late 1990s. Licciardi's rise to prominence corresponded with a shift in gender dynamics within the Camorra since she was born in the Secondigliano neighborhood of Naples in 1951. Women like Licciardi came up to fill the leadership hole left by male members who were arrested, imprisoned, or slain, breaking customary norms. While some mafia women helped their husbands by packing narcotics, Licciardi went above and beyond the traditional obligations of a matriarch. She demonstrated that she could make threats, extort money, and supervise transactions just as well as any guy. Licciardi was raised in the complicated environment of the Camorra. Her father was a clan chief. Therefore, she received a thorough grasp of the syndicate's activities. When her 2 brothers and husband were jailed, Licciardi took advantage of the situation to assume command of the Secondigliano family. Her domain became managing street workers, narcotics trafficking, cigarette smuggling, and extortion. She commanded respect and debated with male Camorra leaders, demonstrating her knowledge and influencing their choices. During her leadership, Licciardi accomplished great success by convincing the Camorra's feuding factions to choose profit over violence. She called for unity, emphasizing that collaboration would result in better profits for all parties concerned. For a short time, peace reigned in Naples, as competing gangs put aside their differences. However, a consignment from Istanbul triggered a deadly clash. Recognizing the threat the contaminated medications posed, Licciardi ordered their return. However, a competing clan ignored her edict, resulting in the terrible and violent actions of several addicts. The resulting exposure broke the tenuous relationship Licciardi had fought so hard to forge. Rival clans rose up against her clan, sparking a brutal series of conflicts. Licciardi launched her own wave of retribution in retaliation to the attacks. She is accused of organizing an operation that took the lives of about 30 individuals, proving that her small size belied her cruelty. With unyielding resolve, she directed her shooters to commit atrocities, leaving a path of bloodshed in her wake. Neapolitan police issued an arrest order for Licciardi in 1999. During a raid, they were able to apprehend 13 mafia bosses, but Licciardi escaped and went into hiding. It wasn't until 2001 that she was captured by police. Licciardi's reign of terror ended when she was apprehended during a routine traffic stop outside of Naples. Licciardi has been imprisoned since her capture. Her once dominant authority has diminished, but her reputation is written in the pages of Camora's history. Number 3. Edina Arellano Felix. Edina Arellano Felix de Toledo is a name that frightens people involved in the Mexican narcotics trade. Edina was born on April 12, 1961, into a prominent family of narcotics dealers, making her fate appear predetermined. What distinguishes Edina from her siblings is her astonishing climb to prominence as the famed Tijuana cartel's leader, breaking barriers as one of the only women to run a criminal organization. Edina's adventure into the crime syndicate began in Mazatlan, Sinaloa. She aspired to be the Mazatlan Carnival Queen when she was 16 years old. Her ambitions were dashed, however, when her brothers Ramon and Benjamin became sought after by both the Mexican and U.S. governments. Edina enrolled at a private institution in Guadalajara, where she excelled academically and finished with a bachelor's degree in accounting, determined to pursue her own path. Edina secretly joined the family company in the mid-1980s, working behind the scenes as the authorities concentrated on her brothers. The Tijuana cartel was under their control, although Edina didn't come to public attention until the year 2000, when a financial genius inside the organization was killed. She became the cartel's backbone thanks to her competence in money laundering and financial management. Edina's leadership position was cemented in 2008 following the arrest of her brother Eduardo. With most of her siblings either in prison or dead, she grabbed the chance to take over the Tijuana cartel, an extraordinary step in a male-dominated environment. Edina, known for her business-like vision, attempted to change the cartel's violent reputation into a more planned and measured approach. Edina, unlike her brothers, preferred to form relationships with other criminal organizations rather than resort to deadly violence. This adjustment in tactics garnered her the respect and adoration of the cartel's members, as well as the attention of international law enforcement organizations like the Drug Enforcement Administration. She became a trendsetter, demonstrating that women could lead criminal businesses just as well as men. The importance of Edina to the Tijuana cartel cannot be overstated. The organization has evolved, survived, and even prospered under her guidance. Attempts by the Mexican authorities to dissolve the cartel have met with tremendous resistance, owing in large part to Edina's strategic skill. She has broken cultural expectations by questioning the concept that criminal leadership is only reserved for men. Number 2. Rosetta Coutolo. Rosetta Coutolo was a lady whose influence and power in the Italian criminal underground were as mysterious as her piercing ice eyes. Rosetta Coutolo, Raffaele Coutolo's sister, was born in January 1937 and was the legendary head of the Nuova Camorra Organizzata, an organization that intended to restructure and revitalize the Camorra. Rosetta, in contrast to her colorful and attention-seeking brother, preferred a quiet and simple existence. She lived in Ottaviano near Naples for years, caring for her roses while living with her mother. However, underneath her modest exterior was an unstoppable power. Rosetta became the primary force behind her brother's operations, carefully delivering his commands from his jail cell and cultivating his devoted supporters outside. Rosetta remained in the shadows as Raphael made headlines with his scandalous interviews and courtroom statements. She was known as Uoki I Ghiaccio, or Ice Eyes, for her sharp mind for numbers and her ability to bargain with South American barons. Her bold effort to blow up a police station nearly missed, solidifying her image as a powerful person. Her story was even the inspiration for the film Il Camorrista, which added a glamorous touch to her mystery image. Rosetta took part in a high-level conference between the Sicilian Mafia and the Camorra clans in a spectacular display of power and influence. Rosetta, together with Raffaele Coutolo's devoted follower, Vincenzo Casillo, played a critical role in establishing the crime scene. The authorities' pursuit of Rosetta culminated in October 1981 when cops stormed her hideout. Coutolo snuck away beneath a rug, hidden in a vehicle driven past checks by the neighborhood priest. This brazen deed kept her out of the public spotlight for more than a decade while she oversaw activities from a network of safe homes spread across various cities. Rosetta made an unexpected decision in February 1993, surrendering to authorities when her refuge was identified. She declared, "I am tired of being a fugitive," and thus terminated her self-imposed exile. Rosetta suffered the weight of her brother's criminal business after being condemned in absentia to 9 years in jail on mafia affiliation charges. She was later reduced to 5 years despite the charges, but she managed to persuade the authorities of her innocence by projecting an unpretentious and frumpy attitude. Her brother, Raffaele Coutolo, maintained that Rosetta was unaware of his illicit activity and just complied with his orders. He said she was never a camorrista, but rather an obedient sister who delivered money to convicts as directed. While the reality of her role may never be known, it is clear that Raphael attempted to safeguard her innocence, assuring the continuity of his empire even while imprisoned. Number 1. Anna Vasilyevna Chapman. One name stands out for its mystery and fascination in the pages of international espionage: Anna Vasilyevna Chapman. Anna Vasilyevna Kushchenko was born in Kharkiv on February 23, 1982. Chapman's upbringing pointed to her susceptibility to intrigue. Her father, Vasily Kushchenko, purportedly served as the Russian ambassador to Kenya and held a key post in the KGB. He currently has a prominent post within the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs. With such ties, Chapman looked destined to traverse the perilous realm of intelligence. Chapman's fate changed dramatically in the United States. She obtained British citizenship through marriage and used it as a stepping stone to establishing residence in the United States. Her true aims, however, were far from common. Chapman was charged with spying for the Russian Federation's foreign intelligence service called Sluzhba Veneshny Razvedki. Her arrest on June 27, 2010, was a dramatic exposé of the Illegals program, a Russian spy network operating on American territory. There are many reports which claim that Chapman worked with a network of others until she was lured into a trap at a Manhattan coffee shop by an undercover FBI agent. The FBI agent handed Chapman a false passport and told her to send it on to another spy. "Are you ready for this step?" he inquired, to which Chapman answered, "Of course." She took the passport. However, following a series of phone conversations with her father, Vasily Kushchenko, in Moscow, Chapman followed his advice and surrendered the passport to a local police station. She was arrested not long after. The arrest of Chapman shocked the intelligence community and captured the public's attention. She pleaded guilty to conspiring to operate as a foreign government agent, admitting to her role in clandestine operations to obtain sensitive information. In an unusual turn of events, Chapman and her fellow Russian agents were deported to Russia as part of the historic swap on July 8, 2010. The 10 Russian spies were returned to their motherland as part of the largest swap since 1986. Chapman's unexpected return to Russia gave her enormous fame, catapulting her into the spotlight as a television personality and model. Chapman pursued a variety of interests once she returned to her birthplace. She became a government official, leading a youth council and providing support for several programs. Her fascination, however, did not end there. Chapman also pursued a modeling career, dazzling the catwalks of Russian fashion events with her engaging style and attractive personality. Her participation in the media business extended beyond modeling. Chapman took up the challenge of hosting her own television show, solidifying her position as a famous figure in Russian pop culture. Chapman's arrest and subsequent ascent to fame drew a lot of media attention. Her stunning beauty, along with her ties to the Russian Federation, earned her the nickname "the Red Under the Bed" from various media publications. Magazines and blogs analyzed her fashion choices and sense of style, and tabloids couldn't get enough action figures modeled after her. She became a frequent guest at upscale New York City clubs and restaurants, adding to the public's interest in her luxurious lifestyle. We hope you enjoyed this video. We'll see you in the next one.